Yes, welcome on in, everybody, to the Saturday Night Network for another of our season 51 cast preview podcasts here today to talk about Ben Marshall's first official season as a cast member on Saturday Night Live. And joining me today is the amazing Zoe Walker. Zoe, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that fall is here and SNL is coming back. And I'm excited to talk about Ben Marshall. I love him and I've loved PDD.
Yeah, it's too bad about that, but we'll talk about that, of course, today. Happy to have you back on the podcast, Zoe, for, is it your third season with us?
I can't keep
Sounds right.
count. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think that sounds right.
It's been a few, but
Mhm.
yeah, happy to have you on the show here and with your tiny mic, of course, a big fan favorite. But yeah, we're looking forward to discussing this with you. We are, of course, here as a presentation of latenighter.com, and we've been doing these preview podcasts every day. And I really appreciate all of the feedback that you've been giving us as you've been watching and commenting on these cast members as we talk about what they may do this season on Saturday Night Live. So, this is the first day where we're going to talk about a rookie cast member. He's not your traditional rookie, though. He is one of the rookies in SNL history that is coming out of the writer's room. We have several on the cast, including Bowen and Andrew and Mikey, who were all writers before they became cast members. But the difference between them and Ben is that we've probably seen a lot more of Ben on screen than any of those guys before they joined the cast, because Ben, of course, was a part of Please Don't Destroy, who since season 47 were producing short films for Saturday Night Live and have become very popular. They released a movie, they've been going on tour, so huge fan favorites. They've since disbanded on Saturday Night Live. I believe that they're still touring themselves before the start of the season. But word came out that John Higgins was leaving the show, Martin Hurley he's staying in the writer's room, and Ben Marshall is joining the cast. So Zoe, let's first get your overall thoughts on how you feel about PDD not being together as a group on the show anymore.
I feel sad. I almost feel confused. I want to know why specifically now they're breaking up. I know their movie wasn't as successful as they would have wanted it to be. I bought tickets for tour the first time they went on tour, so I feel like there's a fan base for them. Um, but I feel sad. I feel like my best friends are breaking up or mad at each other, or someone's leaving and I don't get a proper goodbye. That's kind of my emotions around it right now.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ever gonna get the official answer as to why exactly they're not together, but if we choose to look at the glass half full version, I would assume it would most likely be that they were just looking for a change and something to boost their careers. Ben himself has been in commercials. He's in the new Kevin Hart movie coming out. Like
Mhm.
he is really making a name for himself like outside of PDD. So perhaps that is a reason. I mean, like John Higgins just, I believe, was announced as a part of a new film. Martin Hurley was in Happy Gilmore 2. So like they're all having their moments.
Mhm.
Maybe they just felt like being together as a group or forcing themselves to work together as a group would hold them down further. Specifically on Saturday Night Live, obviously, we're not going to be getting these PDD shorts anymore. It doesn't mean that we're never going to get them as long as, John still has a great relationship with Martin and Ben. Like, he can come back and do those things. But Ben will be now transitioning to the cast. So, how do you feel about Ben leaving the writer's room and going to the cast? Is it a natural fit for you from what you've seen?
Well, I mean, yeah, I feel excited for him. I hope this is a great launching pad for him. And I also think of the three of them, I feel like Ben would be the one that I would choose. He'd be the one that makes the most sense. I not that he's more charismatic, but I think he can maybe be more of a utility player. Can come in and play the straight man in some sketches, and I think they did a good job of rotating who was really amping it up in those sketches. So I feel like we know that he can carry the crazy and the comedy, but he could also like be more grounding. So I think if I was going to choose of the three, I would choose him, but I'm not Lorne Michaels.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I don't know that I would have chosen Ben only because um, I do find like Martin probably had like the most unique personality, and like that's the type of performer I look for on SNL. And just because like again, like I want to give Ben a completely blank slate to show me what he could do as a cast member this year. And every time I've met him, I've really liked him. But like I think he is the most like neutral of PDD. Like he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low in some of the sketches. Like we have seen like weird things that they've done, but I just find like like he doesn't ramp it up to the way that I can see Martin Hurley do, or sometimes John Higgins like will get like so um like emotional in a sketch. So I felt like Ben was the most neutral. And to your point about like having that utility status, that's really valuable when you don't already have that on the cast, but you have like a lot of guys in the cast already who could do those things, including people like Mikey or Andrew or even James. Like those guys can all handle that. So like I'm very interested to see how they're going to use Ben.
I know there's so many men on the cast this season, men that we love and men that we're excited to see. I wonder where he's going to fall. Like we know him, we want to see him in this new role, but will there be space for him to do that?
Yeah, well, first let me ask you about the transition from being a writer to a cast member. Do you feel like it's going to be easy for Ben to get his sketches on because he does have some familiarity with the process?
I I feel so. Um I don't know who he's written with outside of the PDD boys, but I could imagine that he's got confidence having been in the environment. It's not a new environment he's trying to get used to. He's not necessarily building relationships from scratch. So I think that he will have a leg up on getting what he's written or getting things written for him on stage.
That makes sense. I know PDD wrote for Sarah a lot, so I do wonder if like that's a good place for Ben to be working on screen with.
Hmm.
Typically, when a new cast member joins the show, the hardest thing for a new cast member is finding a writer to write for them. But Ben does still have Martin Hurley in the writer's room. So I think that's a huge leg up where like like I wonder if I'm going to make a comparison, I wonder if Ben Marshall season 51 is Mikey Day season 42, which is his first season on the cast, because Mikey and Streeter were already like writing together as a pair. So even though Mikey joined the cast, like it didn't really change much. Instead, like Mikey sort of takes over that Taron Killam role and becomes a major part of the cast. There isn't that direct departure that I can compare that would like Ben would feel that. But I think from the alliance of a writer to a cast member, he still kind of has that as long as him and Martin are still like happily working together versus Bowen and Andrew, who I wonder maybe were more writing for themselves and then had to like submit their material and would have had a harder time adjusting to becoming a cast member. What do you think?
I agree. I think he definitely has that person writing for him. We hope that that's the situation. And then I also think like other people might be excited to write for him or excited to talk to a new person and write for a different voice. Like there could have be fans on the writing staff that are now have this opportunity to write for this person that they know or that they've seen.
Yeah, that totally tracks. So with regards to the cast, we are looking at a cast now of 10 guys, minus or like plus Jost and Jay, but 10 guys in the regular part of the cast, five women on the cast right now, and then five of them are rookies. So we have four men who are rookies, one woman is a rookie. So like that's just the general dynamic that we're looking at here, Zoe. From what you know about this cast, looking forward, who do you think Ben is most likely to work with on screen?
Well, I did think about this. I think most likely to be with Sarah. I'm just thinking of like female pairs for him because there is such a void of, not a void, but there's so much smaller. I feel like with Ego and Heidi being gone, like there's just like who are the girls, who are the women. I think it would be. I think I can expect to see him with Sarah. I want to see him with Ashley. I know Ashley was in a few. Um, PDD sketches. So I think that would be fun to see more of a blossoming chemistry with that. And then also Veronica, just as another rookie, seeing if there's any time for them to do anything. I think playing off of those three women, I would like to see that.
Veronica is interesting. We talked a lot about Veronica in other preview podcasts to see as like where her personality fits. Why do you feel like Veronica and Ben would be an interesting match together?
I think she has this internet appeal and this generational appeal that I think Ben has the same. Like I think it's Gen Z energy. I know you might think like Jane Wickline for this, but I think people are really excited about Veronica and people have love for Ben. So I think if you could get the right material for them, there could be magic there.
I think that makes a lot of sense, especially when Lorne Michaels is talking about how comedy has changed and what he's looking for in some of the new hires. So Veronica, that completely makes sense for. I mean, obviously Jane, Marcelo, James, they all came from the TikTok world. So for them, yeah, just completely makes sense. And you think about PDD and like the things that they were putting out during COVID. Um, they were putting out videos online, so it feels like a very interesting fit potentially for Veronica or even Ashley as like couples in sketches together. So speaking of Ben, one of the things that PDD wrote a lot in the last few years, besides their own shorts, was they wrote a lot of update pieces. Is it possible that you think that update would be a good place for Ben on the show?
Yes, I was going back and watching a few PDD sketches from like years ago, and I feel like a lot of their humor is self-deprecating. And I think that the update desk could be a place where they could bring that, like, jokes about them like looking funny or being virgins or things like that we've seen from them before, whereas in a sketch it might not come as organically, that comfort zone of self-deprecation uh, in their comedy or in Ben's comedy, because it's going to be Ben now.
Yeah, I think so. I think that probably the easiest place to transition from, because again, like Ben maybe appeared in like one live sketch or something just as like an extra at some point, but and of course like they perform sketches on the road all the time, but to transition from having more of a pre-recorded role on the show into the live role, I think would be the most difficult transition for Ben. Like if you really think about it, there's two major things that are happening here. One is he's moving from the writer's room to the cast, which we talked about how other cast members have done. But the other is that he is changing his relationship with the show, in that when you saw Ben on screen, most of that had taken place a day earlier or 2 days earlier when he pre-recorded it. So I'm thinking maybe the best place for Ben, even though there's a lot of people who want those update slots, is to have a moment on update where he could really establish himself with the audience before he transitions fully into these like live roles that we're going to get on a week to week basis. So I think that's probably something to watch out for in these first few episodes. You seem to agree.
Yeah, I just don't want him to get stuck there. Like, I think of Michael Longfellow, so good on updates, so good behind the desk. I just don't want Ben to fall into only being there, or that's all we remember him for.
Yeah. So I'm fascinated to see how that's going to work. We recently found out about the new hosts for the season. So we're starting with Bad Bunny and then Amy Poehler and then over to Sabrina Carpenter. Anything there that you feel could benefit Ben Marshall?
I mean, didn't they do the Shrek sketch with Bad Bunny?
Yeah, that's a great point.
I
So that's a
think
good one.
that that's a relationship pre-existing that they might want to come in and pick up from where they left off. Um, Amy Poehler, she could play his mom. I don't know. I'm not a comedy writer, but that would be cute.
No, I'm not
Um,
asking for sketch pitches, but I just,
yeah, I
I think
think
you
there could
nailed it.
be. Yeah,
I think you totally nailed it. I think that's the one that probably makes the most sense. Is that like bad? But there's a great story about PDD talking about Bad Bunny and the Shrek thing, and then him coming in and just like nailing that. And yeah, I think that's like a really interesting fit for Ben, who like maybe will be the MVP of the premiere. Like he has an outside shot to get there. So I think that's a really really smart thing that you said, Zoe. That's going to be interesting. How about some of the other rookies that have been hired for the show? So we have four other rookies. You talked about Veronica a little bit. We also have Tommy, who's more of a stand-up, Jeremy, who's more of a sketch performer, and then Cam, who is a stand-up as well. Anything that you think could blend well with Ben, because that is something that we typically see from rookies, though Ben is not the traditional rookie. Typically we would see like rookies try and work together because they're part of the same class. So anything you see there?
Um, I just have to say I'm very excited for Jeremy. I'm a huge Dropout fan, so I was like jumping up and down when I saw that. I don't think of them even in the same category of person, so I can't imagine them being together, or what they would do.
So
I
not a
think
good fit for Jeremy and Ben, you think?
I think Jeremy has big energy, very funny, like kind of spotlight on me kind of person, big personality. So I just don't know how they would play. Or maybe it would, in my head, I'm imagining, I'm like, well, where's John and where's Martin and why is Jeremy there when I'm picturing it? So it's hard for me to picture, but I'd love to see it. And then I don't know much about the others, but Tommy being a stand-up guy, I could feel like maybe they're going to be applying, like vying for the same type of roles in sketches. So I don't know. I can't imagine them. I honestly don't know much other than I know about Veronica and I know about Jeremy. So I'm excited to see what they could do together.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we're going to get from Jeremy. It'll be interesting to see if they can work together. I think Cam and Ben is another storyline that I want to look out for, especially with this whole thing about them being in a movie together. It's one of the Kevin Hart movies that's coming out soon that Marcelo is also in. And we talked about this a bit in the Marcelo preview, but the idea of having Marcelo and Cam in the same cast, who are very like high energy performers, like that could either go really great or it could clash at some point. And I wonder if Ben's sort of in the middle of that, where Ben clearly has a great relationship with Marcelo. Marcelo comes into the show a year after PDD and has become the young face of the show. This is probably at the same time as PDD. So that relationship is there. And I do wonder if Marcelo takes some of those like John Higgins type roles that would be playing off of Ben in some sketches. But I want to know if like Ben ends up being more of like a Cam guy or more of a Marcelo guy. Like you would think it would be Marcelo, but because of the relationship that they have from this movie, I think that's going to be interesting. So like I'm excited to see how Cam like sort of like finds his way into the show and who ends up working with him overall. But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities for Ben. I think that out of all the preview podcasts we've done here, he actually might be my biggest question mark. Like I really think that he has a chance to succeed. I think they wouldn't put him in the cast unless they expected him to be there for a while. But the possibilities to me, Zoe, are endless for what Ben could do in season 51.
Yeah, I agree. They kept him for a reason, so we get to see what they have planned.
Overall, do you have any final predictions for Ben Marshall this season?
Prosthetics. I hope there are prosthetics on his face.
Yes. I go back to that short, of course, with the with the wild facial expressions we got from Ben Marshall. And then, of course, the season is coming up very soon. I mean, we're just a few days away now from the start of season 51. So, Zoe, anything overall that you're looking forward to seeing this season beyond just Ben Marshall?
I am so excited. I'm so excited to laugh. I feel like season 50 never ended because life is so busy and so fast. So I'm just like riding off of the high of the 50th, and I'm excited for the next season, for the fall. For I really think fall and SNL go together with pumpkins, and so I'm just really excited. I feel cozy and ready to giggle.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait. And I can't wait to see what all of you think of Ben Marshall joining the cast. So, as you're watching this preview podcast, put your comments on the YouTube channel. Let us know what you think that Ben will be doing this season and how it will go for his rookie season as a cast member. Of course, to never miss any of the preview podcasts that we have here on the SNN, subscribe to the podcast, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and follow us at the SNL Network to see all of our posts on everything season 51 as we ramp up to this premiere with Bad Bunny and Doja Cat. Zoe, I can't wait to have you on the podcast this season to break down all these episodes. We're so excited to have you on board again for another season with the SNN.
I'm excited too. Thank you for having me today.
For everything that's coming up here on the SNN, on Monday night, we will have our preseason roundtable where we will talk through everything that we are excited to see in season 51 beyond just these cast members. So we'll talk about all the major themes of the season, some big things that we'll be covering throughout the entire season. So that's always a great time to set the table for season 51 beyond just these daily preview podcasts for each cast member. And then we will have our SNL season 51 cast draft coming up as well next week. So very excited for that one. And then we will have coverage immediately after the Bad Bunny and Doja Cat premiere with our hot take show, followed by our roundtable and our By the Numbers show. So I really appreciate Zoe joining us and everybody here who hung out to watch this preview podcast. So I want to thank Late Nighter for being the presenting partner for our show today. And on behalf of everyone here at the SNN, my name is John Schneider, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.
It's on the Saturday Night Network.